Good evening, everyone.
Good
Welcome
evening.
back to Men. As usual, I'm the actor who plays Olawunmi, and with me tonight, as usual, is my brother Yemi. Yemi, what's going on now?
Not bad at all. Good evening, everyone. Nice to be back.
How you doing? What's going on?
Having a good weekend, just relaxing.
That's good. That's good. Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for the gap between our most recent episodes. We actually have recorded, but we had technical episodes. For some bizarre reason, my ISP had decided to village people have hooked my ISP.
Active.
So everything we recorded last time didn't record properly. I don't know what I did for my village people, but village people John now and shall not much at Baba now, please. Village people, have mercy on me.
Good thing is
Anyway, Yemi, we're back. That's the most important thing. So welcome back to Two Groawn Men. Before we start, we want to appeal for your support for this channel. Please like. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to this channel.
Comment.
Please help our ministry. Leave us a comment. Share this video with someone who might appreciate it. And if you want to be a part of this show, ladies and gentlemen, please, we're on twogrownmen@gmail.com. So let's get into it. Yeah, today I'm going to be asking you about your bucket list. Tell me, Yemi, what are the things that sit on your bucket list? You can start anywhere. Top, bottom, side. Just go.
First and foremost, to even know that you have to have a bucket list is scary. Because, like the great Richard Pryor said, I wasn't doing anything before I came to Earth. I didn't ask to come here, and I can't choose to stay. That's the biggest definition of power. I didn't ask to come here, and I can't choose to stay. So hence the whole bucket list, that since you know you're going to leave someday, you might as well have a bucket list where you say, okay, before I go, I'm back to Laomi's question. I want to, a few things I want to do. I actually want to bungee jump, believe it or not. I've never bungee jumped before. I know it's
village
scary.
People. Are you hearing?
I know it's scary, but I understand that there's some simulators. You know, everything now is techie, AI. So they have all these things for people that they do a trial run, and then if you don't like it, so people like motorbike now, you start with scooter, then you first start with small bicycle before you now graduate to the big one. so I'm going to check online and see if there's a place I can practice simulating the bungee jumping experience. So if I can pass that, then I'll do the right one. I also want to learn a foreign language. I can speak obviously English, Pidgin, Yoruba. I've always flirted around French and other languages, mainly French, but not to an everyday level. So at some point I'll pick, it doesn't have to be French, it could be Swahili, could be any language, but I'd like to do that. So that's another thing that I'd like to do. Travel. I like to travel more. I haven't been to all the continents. So at some point I'd like to go to at least one country in every continent. One of the things I want to do is I want to address a large crowd of 200, maybe 300, maybe 400 people, and just give maybe a speech or maybe part of a conference where I'm just speaking to people. It will help with I don't think I have stage fright. I think this YouTube experience has helped, but it's different. I'm just talking to myself or talking to you, but yeah, that'll be fun to do. I also want to give back to society. I'm already doing that in some capacity, but to do it on a bigger scale and leave more impact in that way. What else do I want to do? I'd like to do a pilgrimage of some sort. It could be Jerusalem, it could be Jordan. You see all the places that we've read about in some of these biblical books. Some of those places are still in existence as of 2025. So people do Kilimanjaro, people go to luxury hotels, people go to see the waterfalls in different countries. So that'll be something that I think would be good to do. I've done sailing, so sailing is some things I've done already that are off the list. But since your question is things I still want to do that I haven't done, I think one of the things I also want to do is to learn how to swim properly. So I can swim, I can like just like I'm playing around, but like properly swim um with different styles. I'd like to also mentor. I like to mentor. I think two grown men can, help the young boys as we grow on this channel. Some of the mistakes and some of the things that we can look back and say, oh, when I was 20, when I was 15, when I was 25, there's some things that we did right, and there's some things that when we look back, okay, we could have done things like that differently. So maybe that could be something that one can also do at some point, to say, okay, this is how, this is where you're going, and if you continue in that path, the outcome you get might not be what you're expecting, because I've been there and I'm telling you from my perspective. And whether it's a formal thing or something that is informal, it doesn't really matter. What else? Yeah, I think I'll just stop there for now.
Yeah. I see. I'm gonna pick your list. Tell me about sailing, and I'll tell you why later on. Tell me, you have a very interesting list of things. Very interesting. I mean, these lists are very personal. Bucket list is personal to every individual. But tell me about, I'm gonna just pick your list. Sailing. What about sailing appeals to you? How did you get into sailing? What appeals to you about
sailing? Did I say sailing?
Yeah,
or bungee jumping? Oh, I said sailing.
You said you've done sailing before.
No, swimming. Swimming is what I was saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was saying swimming. That's when I said I wanted to learn how to do more styles. That's what I meant by more styles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like breaststroke. Yeah.
This bungee jumping, like how? Isn't that one of the least African, least Nigerian things that you can do? And
I've always
got
thought
off
it
a
was
subject.
just wild and big. I mean, a bucket list can be safe. You can have a safe bucket list, and you can have a bucket list where you challenge yourself. So for me, the bungee jumping is something I'm challenging myself to say, okay, this is something I would not ordinarily do. I just want to do it and just know that, okay, I've got enough off my plate.
You're not afraid of village people, I take it.
I'll be praying
You're
for
not afraid that.
I'll be praying for bungee jump.
There is your own turn.
Bungee to the jumping. Everything is going to
be. You're not afraid that. It's now your own turn. And the rope will now cut.
Yes, too. Yeah.
I always say something that look, when we're in school, if everybody's breaking bounds, everybody's going to over that fence, is it that Olawunmi chooses to go over that fence and the fence will come down? Is that day that they will catch everybody? Everybody's playing the lottery is fine, and they're making money. Is it didn't me? I choose to play the lottery. The lottery will die. So I'm like, that bungee jumping is now my own day that village will not go and cut the rope.
I know the funny thing about this thing.
I think you're not afraid.
Yeah, nobody will even offer you 100%. So, like when you ask them, so what are the? I say, well, we've not had any death. We've not had any death in 5 years. So that's reassuring.
In 5 years,
that's reassuring.
That's very, very reassuring. But I think realistically, the odds are probably pretty good. If they count number of jumps that are made and number of accidents, I think you have a stat that tells you that I guess is not so bad. Oh yeah,
people, this is what we're talking about. For those of you are not informed, I want to jump out of, and then my legs are going to be, you get the point now.
I don't know. So I've considered skydiving. I've done the indoor skydiving experience.
The indoor one, yeah.
Yeah, I've done live fly. But I think my window of jumping out of a plane has passed. I have young children, and so I don't think I'll jump out of a plane. I don't know why bungee jumping has never really.
So which is
I can't say it's on my bucket list.
Which is scarier because it sounds as if skydiving feels more secure than other extreme sports. Although skydiving and bungee jumping are both considered extreme sports, but skydiving
Extreme
is the one during which you feel most secure. Apparently, that's what the experts are saying. So is that why you went for skydiving rather than bungee jumping?
I don't know. I've never thought about it. I've never thought about which is safer, which should I do, which should I not do. I reckon I don't know why I've always gravitated towards skydiving because I feel like you have more time to enjoy your descent. With bungee jumping, it's probably over in a few seconds. Whereas with skydiving, you see the views, you see the sights, right? Even if that's the last thing you see, I feel like it's like you're coming down and you can see the world around you. You can see everything like small and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But bungee jumping, I feel, is over so fast. It's just 1, 2, 3 jump.
Yes, it's a short.
And the wire arrests you.
Yeah.
So maybe what, seconds, 10 seconds? I don't think it's that long. Whereas skydiving, you'll be up there for maybe a couple of minutes before you finally do come down. So I think there's more to enjoy. So I think with skydiving, once your parachute opens, you have a lot of time to enjoy your descent.
To enjoy the descent.
So I think the initial fear is jump out of the aircraft in the first place, and then hoping that the chute opens to arrest your fall. But once the chute opens, I feel like the fear is now gone. And at least you know you're safe, you're secure. And now it's a matter of what happens. I'm going to enjoy the ride down. Whereas bungee jumping, it's a thrill ride the entire way down. And then you're hanging upside down. It's not going to your brain.
So look at what I'm reading
So
now. It says this in skydiving, flight to altitude is 15 minutes, free fall is 45 to 60 seconds, parachute ride is 5 minutes, and total time is about 20 to 25 minutes, to the point you made. But bungee jumping is a few seconds, total time very short, typically under 10 seconds.
So
wow,
you get all the risk.
So it's just that adrenaline rush. Boom, boom.
And then
it's over.
The cable touches you. And they reel you off, and it's over. As opposed to you jump off a plane, you have 45 seconds to a minute of free fall.
You have more time.
The chute arrests you. And they arrest you, and then you're coming down. It's a 5-minute descent from what I read. So you have 5 minutes to enjoy your view of the planet around you.
Yes.
And you're coming down higher than any skyscraper. So you're seeing a view of the planet, of the earth, of the ground around you that you don't ordinarily get to see except from an airplane. And unless you're flying in a low flying aircraft, you're typically like so far away that you can't see anything. So look, I think the skydiving might be more rewarding. Maybe when I retire and my kids all grown and they're done with college. When I'm as we say in Yoruba, then pipes. But this one I'm gonna sit down. But let's talk travel. I mean, Drew and I could talk about the travel experiences. So let's talk travel for you. Tell me your travel experiences. Why is traveling on your bucket list?
So the traveling I've done has been mainly in 3 continents. So US, 1 state.
Okay.
Europe, a couple of states. Asia, if you consider Turkey part of Asia, I mean it is because it shares the border with.
It is. It's Europe.
Middle East. It's Middle East. It's Asia, and it's Europe. I think
it's Asia and Europe. Yeah. It's
Asia and Europe. Okay, let's remove Middle East.
It's Asia and Europe. Yeah.
Asia and Europe. Yeah. So if you count that, but I still want to go back to Asia and do proper Asia that doesn't share a border. So I'll say Asia, Europe, the US, and Africa. But what I want to do, I've not done anywhere in South America. I haven't done Canada, and I also haven't done India, like I said, and also either Australia or New Zealand. So I
Down
would
there.
say those are the places I want to go to. At least, like I said, at least one country. But I want to do Indonesia with Bali in there. I want to do Vietnam, China, Japan. I'd like to do Australia, Brazil, Canada, like I said, and then the Caribbean. I want to do the Caribbean. And there's some places in Europe that I want to see, but now I don't really care about Western Europe anymore. It's the Mediterranean within Europe that appeal to me, like the Maltas, the Cypresses, the Greece, places that have warm weather, temperate, good food, you know, you know, fantastic scenery. I don't really want to go to any cold countries in Europe because people say, yeah, is they are all different. Italy is different from Spain. Spain is different from Germany, but I think after I've gone to like half a dozen, they all just look the same to me personally. But the likes of Malta and Cyprus and Greece, I think they stand out because of the weather and how the scenery and the vegetation and just how, and even the people, the culture of the people there too. But South America, I'd really love to do. And then Australia, I'm a big tennis fan, so I have a friend who's in Australia he said, anytime, come down. So if I'm going to go there,
Too many big spiders. Too
I
many
want to
big
time it. I want to
spiders.
time it with the Australian Open at some
Too
point.
many big spiders.
One more that I forgot to add. I want to go to all 4 slams because like I said, I'm a tennis fan.
Yes.
So I've only been to one, which is Wimbledon. I've been there twice. I haven't been to the US Open. I haven't been to French Open. And like I just mentioned, I also haven't been to the Australian Open. So that would be a wonderful opportunity to do all 4 as a tennis fan and see. So I've seen the World Tour Championships. I saw that in London. I actually saw Djokovic play. His movement is incredible. And then the speed. Guys, if you love tennis, just go and watch it live. Forget about TV. It's fast on TV, but you appreciate the athletes, the sheer, and they're smaller live as well. They're not as big as on TV. They say TV adds about 10 pounds to your weight or whatever. But they're smaller live, but they're also faster live. And then the sound when they hit the tennis ball, the sound it makes when they serve is like a gunshot, literally like a gunshot when they serve. These guys are very, very, very strong. Both men and women that playing the sport, but live. I mean, if you've played football, but difference with football is now it's just one-on-one with tennis. So yeah, back to the point. So I'd like to watch all 4 slams as well. And then I forgot an Olympics. You're juggling my memory now. I haven't seen an Olympics. London 2012. I was in Nigeria then, so I didn't see it. So I haven't been to an Olympics. The World Cup, literally a month ago, my friend's younger brother just sent me a message from the blue. He's in Atlanta and it's like, you have to come to Atlanta, stay in my house, give me an open invitation. I'll host you. All you need to do is get your tickets and, there's space for you. Just come. I'll take you around Atlanta. You can do your content creation there as well, interview people on the streets. And he told me about the Mercedes-Benz, I think it's Velodrome or Stadium. He sent me videos. Incredible investment. The Mercedes-Benz Stadium where the football club in Atlanta play, and then some other, I think NFL also play there. And they're all gearing up for the World Cup next year in the US. As you guys know, it's taking place in USA, Mexico, and Canada. So 3 countries for the first time. It's been 2. They've done 2 before, and they've done most of the World Cups that have been done is 1 country. But the first time in 2026, it'll be 3 countries hosting the World Cup for the first time in FIFA's history, and that's incredible because it gives diversity and choice. Because you could say, okay, I'm doing Mexico. I don't have any business in the US. I don't have any business in Canada, and you can say Canada I want to go to. And if you have the money and the time, you can do all 3. Why not? If you got the money, you got the time. Watch your game in Mexico, watch your game in the US, and watch your game in Canada.
I'm in
So
Canada.
yes, so one of the things next year, by God's grace, hopefully, I might be able to do that next year to watch the World Cup. And I
Hopefully, you'll
think
be able to
all
get
that
into the US.
atmosphere
You'll
for a World Cup is
be able to
something
get
else.
into the US, Yemi. Yemi. You've forgotten that. Will you be able to enter America
Hopefully,
for
they will
the
be able
World
to
Cup?
convince that man,
Because,
President Trump, to
because,
calm down. Because it seems the best way to convince him is to tell him, if you go on with this decision, sir, we will lose money. Something happens to Trump when you tell him that. Because look at what they're doing with the farmers. The minute they went to him and they said, these crops are spoiling, the berries are spoiling. People can't buy wine anymore. Look at my wine glass. People can't buy wine anymore because you're not allowing, because of ICE and deportations and everything, you're not allowing people to go to work. They're scared that they're going to be deported, etc. And then they calm down. So maybe they can do the same thing to him to say, if you continue this hard line, people will just go to Mexico and go to Canada, and fewer people come to the US because they don't want to be coming holding their passports every day. They go out to watch matches, and fear of being deported or fear of being rough handled by the ICE officials, asking them multiple questions about their visas, something they've already done when they go to immigration. They already did that. They already showed their passport. They already showed the reason they were there. They already showed the hotels they were going to stay in. So there has to be some kind of lax, and I'm not saying they should completely allow people to go and do anything they want to do and break the law, but you have to make the place welcoming. Case in point, Qatar. Everybody knows Qatar. They don't do alcohol there. The only places you can drink alcohol are in designated licensed spots like hotels, resorts, etc. However, they made a special law, or they relaxed their law to allow people to drink beer and spirits in the stadium. Why did they do that? Did they stop being Muslim?
did they drink in it? Are you sure they allowed them drink in the
They
stadium? Are you
allowed it. They
sure?
allowed it. My friend went.
Oh,
They
yeah.
allowed it.
Oh, I see.
They
It's
gave a
interesting.
special
Okay,
license. Yeah, they allowed it.
that's interesting.
That's the only way it would have worked, because you are inviting people to come, and on the same vein you are saying your religion. So pick one, pick a struggle. If your religion is so important to you, then don't do a World Cup. Don't host a World Cup. Don't tell the world to come
Yeah,
to your country. You have to. There has to be. You know what you understand what I'm trying to say. Allow me. You have to have a little bit
yeah.
of, okay, let's relax a bit. What's the goal of even hosting? The goal of hosting is to invite people in to see your country. And then when they come, you now say, oh, there are all these lax laws. And people are like, so we are not enjoying ourselves. So they had to relax a bit. Obviously, outside the stadium, their normal laws continued. If you want to drink, go to your hotel and drink there. There are licensed bars for you to buy alcohol in your hotel anyway. And you can also buy alcohol in duty free going to Qatar in Doha Airport, which you can take into the country. But don't drink it on the street. Drink it in your hotel room. So they are not 100% like, they could have said it that, okay, you can't bring any alcohol into the country. They haven't said that. They've just said don't do it on the street, which is fair. So America just has to toe that line as well when the World Cup comes to those officials, just to make life easy for people and for people to enjoy the event. So yes, the World Cup is on my list as well.
Okay, that's a nice list. That's a very nice list.
And
I like a list. Travel, World Cup, Olympics. I like it. What's your current? What are your experiences with travel so far? Where have you been? What have you done? You said you've been to a couple of European countries, a couple of
yes.
African countries. Where is the place that surprised you the most in your travels?
Maybe Mauritius.
And why?
Because
Why?
I didn't do any research. I didn't do much research in terms of understanding what the country was about. I knew the result I was going to stay in, and I was blown away by the hospitality. It's the best customer service I've ever received. And Dubai has high customer service, but these guys in Mauritius were just excellent. The resort itself, how clean it was, blue skies, white sands, blue water, the food, the hospitality, the things that we did while we're there. Very little rain, just like spots of rain. I went for a friend's 45th and his girlfriend's 40th. It was incredible. So that surprised me, and it just made me realize I'm an African, but I don't really know Africa. I haven't been to African countries, and that made me tell myself, you need to do more. You need to do more.
Yeah.
North Africa, East Africa, Central Africa, South Africa. So Mauritius is within the South Africa. So I've done that. I was born in West Africa. I haven't done East. I haven't done North. I haven't done Central. So Mauritius surprised me with the customer service in terms of that resort. Also, how beautiful the country was or is. It's a very, very beautiful country. And I enjoyed the experience. Did a couple of waterfalls as well there and a couple of touristy things. Beautiful place. So that surprised me.
That's good.
Mhm.
So Mauritius. Where else? Where was? Did you find any? Was there any place you went to that you thought this is disappointing?
Nope. No place.
Okay.
So I've done Accra, I've done Mauritius, I've done Paris, uh, I've done Antalya in Turkey, like I mentioned. I've done the US. I've done Brussels as well.
Belgium.
Yeah, in Belgium. Yeah, and Dubai, like I mentioned, I've done Dubai as well.
Okay.
So those are the places I've been.
Okay. No, it's not bad. That's
Yeah.
not bad.
So
Interesting.
no places were disappointing. Each country and each destination had its own feel, had its own culture, had its own different types of food, different types of customer service, different vibe. There was no place that I said, because I don't know about you, but when I go on a holiday, and I remember Becca and her husband were on the show a couple of episodes ago. Shout out to that great couple. They said something that resonated with me that I already do. I have paid, or somebody has paid for me to go on holiday. I have left where I am to jump on a plane or to get on a boat or to drive or to walk. I'm there now. Make the best out of it. Whatever happens, happens. They lose your luggage. Okay. Buy new luggage. Buy new clothes.
Buying
They
t-shirts.
they F up your room. Go to the customer service. They will give you another room. Or if they give you a refund and you may have to use your credit card, there might be a minor inconvenience while they refund your money because you got there and it wasn't what you expected. But don't spoil the holiday. Move to the next hotel. There can't be only one hotel where you've gone to. So make the best out of it. Make lemonade out of lemon. Make the best out of it and expand your mind. It can't just be about the resort of the hotel. Mingle with the locals, ask the bartender, the people who are working in this establishment usually have the best tips. Ask them, I want to do something non-touristy. Advise me. What do I do? What can I do tomorrow? And they will just give you ideas and you do it and you're like, wow, thank you so much for giving me. So that's how I see it. So I don't think there's any bad country per se. Maybe countries that are in strife for war, but every country on this planet Earth is great in their own way. They are unique in their own way, and they have a unique set of experiences that has to be enjoyed. So for me, all the places I've gone have been enjoyable.
Would you go to North Korea?
Yes.
You know they fear.
Nope. They're not fighting war.
Why not?
They're not fighting war.
You
So,
know,
so it's just about their rules.
mhm.
Maybe the reason why I'm saying that is because I know a friend, a mutual friend. You know him as well. I'm not going to put his name out on blast, but you know him as well. He's been to North Korea and he said, Yemi, it's not what people are making out. Just follow their rules. Where they tell you they're a bit funny. There's no internet. They have a closed media. Some places you can't take pictures in some certain places for whatever reason. So is it just follow their laws? Don't take pictures when they tell you not to take pictures. Don't use the internet. Don't do video calls because it's restricted. Don't try and now go and do VPN because they could catch you. And if they catch you and blah, 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 you'll be spitting grammar. Meanwhile, you know that you shouldn't have been doing video calls. So just things like that. Just follow their laws and you'll have a good time. So it's somewhere that is not going to be on my tier A countries. Let me just put that caveat there. It's not a tier A country for me, but I wouldn't say no. It won't be a flat no. Just to make it clear. Yes, no.
I always feel like, for me, it's just that, like, look, you've already said it, it's not a tier A country for you. When I see all these clips of people, and usually it's American, so I guess because I'm not American, I haven't to fear really in North Korea, But when I see some people get arrested and being accused of spying, accused of espionage or whatever it is, I'm like, what did you do? What did you find? You know what they be? Which I find which day, So I agree with you, wouldn't be my tier. For me to consider North Korea or places like, like anywhere where there's a war, would I go to Iran? There's no reason why I shouldn't go to Iran, right? There's no reason why I shouldn't. But okay, so a fair few years ago, I was going to go to Beirut, to Lebanon with my friends for Christmas. Okay. And I remember saying, no, I'm going to Lebanon for Christmas. And 2 weeks to go, I think it was my parents. I wasn't married at the time. My mother was like, they're fighting. They said, no, they're not fighting there. Lo and behold, that particular Christmas was one Christmas where I think an Israeli soldier was kidnapped and taken across the border. Right? Wow. So Beirut got bombed that particular Christmas. And I went the following year. But, that idea that I will be on holiday innocently and someone go and drop like hot akara on where I am, it just made me, it made me very wary of like where I go to. And there's a place where we stayed in Beirut, my friend's place. It's on the waterfront. It's on the hill waterfront, and there's a lighthouse at the end of a pier there. And apparently the lighthouse was bombed, because I remember asking that, what happened to that lighthouse now? And he said, well, that lighthouse got bombed. That last Christmas when you were meant to come, they were on the balcony watching, and a drone flew past, or an aircraft flew past, and that lighthouse was bombed. This lighthouse from my friend's house is like literally you can see it from the window in his house. So I'm like, you people were that close to it. Is this where we would have stayed? He said yes. So we would have been staying in your house, just casually, maybe perhaps on the balcony, perhaps on the beach, chilling. And you mean somebody would have dropped hot akara on this thing while we were present? And that's made me like really wary of certain countries. Would I go back to Beirut? Yes, I would in a heartbeat. I loved it. It was a beautiful country. Lebanon is beautiful. So I would go back. But there are some places that North Korea or Syria or anywhere where they are fighting wars, I would be very, very cautious.
Very, very worried, yes.
I'd be very cautious. Before you guys use my head to break coconuts.
No, it has to be. So the first question
I know village people, as we've said about village people, they are never ending. They're always hunting, looking for who to kill and devour. So maybe I should not tempt fate. But maybe I'm just being paranoid, right?
No. I mean, it's not about paranoia. I think it's just about it's self-preservation first and foremost. If there's conflict there, because when we went, when we went to Antalya, one of the questions I had then was, is there fighting because Syria, Turkey, the border, but I was told it was about 2-3 hours away from where the resort was. So it was very far, and there was, I checked, and there were no warnings from the British government. There were no
Anyway.
ones from anybody, so it was
Mm.
pretty safe. And yes, went and it was fine. There was nothing, absolutely nothing. So it also depends on where, because sometimes when you hear there's strife in a country, you just automatically think in your head that it's everywhere in the country.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not. It's not really the
No,
case.
I mean,
It's
take
everywhere, but
Nigeria
it's
for
still better
example.
to be safe than sorry, I
Mm.
guess.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, take Nigeria for example. You read the news. There's Boko Haram bombings and banditry attacks and wherever it is in the northeast and north central. But
And in Lagos, nothing.
not
La la
shit.
la Friday. People are still doing 5G. No bomb inside. Yeah, not making light of it, but yeah, that just shows you how big a country can
The
is.
world look is big. Do you have any unpleasant experiences from your travels? None.
They were resolved. They were resolved. So Dubai comes to mind. So Dubai and only Dubai in the Hilton. There was something wrong with the room. I think the shower wasn't working properly or something, and we called and they apologized profusely and they came back. I won't really call it apologize, and they came back.
Okay.
They gave us an extra. They changed the room pretty quickly within 2 hours. Like I said, once this person checks out, they'll send us and they know. By the way, the minibar, you can take anything from there. You don't need to pay, blah blah blah. So
That's good.
that's minor.
Mm.
Yeah, unpleasant. No, I think I've been lucky. I think that's the word I can
Okay.
use. Yeah, I've been lucky.
That's good.
Luggage has
That's
always
good.
arrived. There, leaving. I've not been involved in any crime or maybe thieves or whatever. So yeah, it's probably pure luck.
So why haven't you done much travel within Africa? Why not?
I don't know. Maybe it's because of this perception that there are nicer countries outside. Maybe being an African, I want to see the world, not
Yeah.
realizing that the world should start from Africa and then it can now spread. But now I think I'm now at the age where I actually now want to do more Africa. I want to do Namibia, I want to do Kenya, I want to do Uganda, I want to do Morocco. My friends incidentally are in Marrakesh at the moment. Shout out to you guys. A friend of mine is turning 50 this month. So they went for a boys trip. We need to talk about boys trips in a
Nice.
different episode, but they're doing a boys trip.
Yeah.
One of them is coming from the Middle East. Three other guys are in Europe, and they all went to Marrakesh. I haven't spoken to them to get their experience, but I saw pictures, and these guys look happy. They look happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
No, there's a space
so I
for
definitely want to do more Africa. No question about it. No question.
yeah. I've done a few countries. I think my list is maybe 24
Yeah,
countries now.
let's hear your list. Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
but I was going to talk about how Africa is travel in Africa is actually quite hard. Like my wife and I made an effort to travel within Africa, and honestly, we had our honeymoon we went to Kenya, went to Mombasa for our honeymoon.
Nice.
We did a road trip a few years ago with our kids. We took the children to Accra. So we spent a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. We went to Cotonou. So we left Lagos on a Thursday. We spent the weekend in Cotonou. So we went around Cotonou, went a few places, did that for the weekend. And on Sunday morning, the idea was Sunday morning, get up, drive to Accra, and spend the rest of the week in Accra and head back the following weekend. But heading to Cotonou was not bad. We drove our car. And I'll tell you straight away, if you're going to do travel West Africa, don't go in your own car. The best thing would be to go in a commercial vehicle.
Don't go in your own car.
But the border crossings were hell. But we get to border crossing. So we left Benin in the morning to drive to the Togolese border. It wasn't far away. Driving through Togo is literally 2.5, 3 hours. You're at the Aflawe, at the Ghana border. And then the wildlife started. Within Togo, they stopped us maybe 4 times before we got to the border. Get to the border at Aflao, and they tell you their computers are not working, so they have to do all the registrations by hand. And we're there for 6 hours. A border crossing 6 hours. Just because we just there, every vehicle was at that border for 6 hours. And then we crossed the border. And right after you cross the border, the extortion starts. Right at the border, they said they were asking for one sum of money. I'm like, why? You know, I have a laissez-passer, I have everything we need. They said it with some lies. You have to have a customs document for your car. That's not true. But whatever it is, they collected some money from us there. A kilometer into the journey, they stop us and then they ask us some document that doesn't exist. Now they said, well, you don't have that. Either you go back to the border to get that permit or whatever it is. But right behind me was another car, and the guy only spent 2 minutes with them. So the guy was passing me, I flagged, and it was a Nigerian guy, Nigerian police. So I flagged the car down, and I said, they're asking me for a particular document. What document? Can I see your documents? You guys showed me. I had the exact same documents that he had.
Wow.
So whatever they were asking me for was BS. It didn't exist. So I went back to the office and said, okay, all the documents I have given you are all the documents I need. That document you're asking me for, that's it. The gentleman that just left has the same documents. Then the guy said, master, so you know, okay, give us something. And I was like, I don't understand. I'm traveling with 2 young children. There's me, my wife, my sister. You know. Why, if you want, I mean, why do you have to extort us? And then you extort us by asking for a fake document that doesn't exist. All right?
Yeah.
Now we eventually resolved this. At this point, we spent 15 minutes. We resolved this. Move forward another 10 minutes. Another checkpoint. Same question. Same issue. Another checkpoint. Literally, we're being stopped every kilometer. Now, from the border, from Aflao to Accra itself, should be like a 4-hour drive. Why did it take us almost 7 hours? And then we now spent 6 hours crossing the border, another 7 hours driving to Accra. So a journey that should have taken us, should have been a 6-7 hour journey max. All right. Took us 14 hours, something like that. We literally arrived at the hotel and I'm telling you, we're wiped out. Yeah.
You guys must have
we were tired. It was exhausting, you know, it was needless. They're stopping you. At one point, there was one checkpoint that I was literally just dying. They stop us. Maybe 20 meters ahead is another checkpoint. So we spent 15 minutes with these guys, only to drive 2 minutes or 1 minute, and then you spend another 15 minutes with next set of guys. What is it now? You know, and that now when you drive from Nigeria, when you cross Badagry, the views are amazing. I think I've said this on this channel before, that you're driving, the Atlantic Ocean is on one side, and in some places the lagoon is on the other side. So you're driving on this coastal highway that has the ocean on one side with palm trees, the lagoon and lakes on the other side. Okay, rice paddies and work. It is absolutely beautiful, and you can't understand why Africans are poor, because it is the same water, right? The same coast that people go and see in Saint-Tropez, in Nice, in Monte Carlo, in Monaco, in Miami. It's the same thing, right? So why are we poor? You know, why do we have this beautiful coastline? And I've seen this coastline. Look, you see it in Lagos. I've been to Liberia, I've been to Monrovia, I've seen this coastline. And you're like, why are we poor? Like, why are we not able to attract tourists from our own region? Why aren't people traveling from Nigeria to explore the beaches in Accra? I'll tell you why. Why? Because it's hard. Some of our airport taxes are among the highest in the world. Yeah. So you're paying like extortionate airport taxes. Infrastructure doesn't exist. Security is, and then the people on the ground make it hard for you. Look, on our way back, so the journey to Accra was so bad that my family flew back. They simply refused to we couldn't imagine putting my family through that experience of flying back.
No, that's terrible.
So they sort of driving back. So they flew back. Young children, you know, they flew, which I came back with the driver. Along the way, they stopped us just outside Accra. Stop us. And they said they want to see the roadworthiness of my car has no first aid box. I'm like, first aid box. And the guy says, no. So we're having a conversation. He says, "Oh, God, give me 20 CDs and you can go." Now, manageable, I'm like, 20 CDs, that's plenty now. For what now? Oh, God, take 5 CDs. He goes, no. Then he produces the highway code. This is where it gets funny. Produces the highway code. And the highway code, I don't know whether it's standard in Ghana or it's just the copies those guys had, that the police had, has on the front the highway code, on the back the criminal code. So he goes, it's a crime in Ghana. It's a crime in Ghana not to have a fire extinguisher, not to have a first aid box. Your car is a crime. So he proceeds to show me the thing in the highway code. It doesn't exist. There is no provision in Ghana highway code at that time for a first aid box. Guy goes, it's a lie. Asks his colleague for another highway code. Checks it, is still not there. Collects a third highway code, is still not there. Then he realizes that it's something they do to extort people, but it doesn't actually exist.
Yeah.
So he goes, Master, my brother Nigeria. How far with that 10 CDs you want to give your brother? And I'm like, are you crazy? We're worrying. Are they mad in your family? That you think I've now been here for 30 minutes. Do you really think I'm going to give you my 10 CDs when there's no reason to give you? So I said, I'm not giving him a dime. You should let me go. And he starts to beg. I'm like, no, I'm not doing. So we move. You know what I do next? Because I spark. I tell the driver, when we get to the next village, please park. Now I know that I'm in compliance with all the highway codes in Ghana at this point. But I don't want to take any risks. So we buy 2 first aid boxes. Two.
Wow, I like that.
Next checkpoint we get to. Guys, like, everything, checks everything. Where's your first aid box? So I say, oh God, why are you asking my first aid box? He says, it's a crime. It's on the first in Ghana. I said, oh God, show me where your highway code is on the first.
Exactly.
Show me. So the guy opens the highway code, starts to check. I said, bros, wait, before you go too far. Because at this point, the guy might never find a rule that says I must travel my grandmother's kidney, right? The guy might find a rule that says that.
It's all about that cash.
I must be carrying my great-great-grandfather's left eyeball and his right testicle when I'm traveling. So to avoid stories that touch, I said, bros, no vex. See, here are my brother. Here are my 2, Charlie. Here are my 2 first aid boxes. I have 2. It goes, 80 for your brother. I'm like, I don't understand. What are you? And, like, F off, man. F off. But they ask me things like, can we see the customs documents for your car? I'm like, I don't understand. You're not the Nigerian government. Why do you care if we paid import duties for this vehicle in Nigeria? One guy says, because I was on a special assignment and the president of Nigeria told us, I said, we're sorry. You're a Ghanaian police officer. The president of Ghana of Nigeria told you to inspect my vehicle papers to see if I paid import duty on my car that I've now owned for God knows how many years. Crazy. But I mean, and that makes it frustrating to travel within Africa when there are these bottlenecks that make no sense. Now, I've been to a couple of dozen countries, right? And I tell you that my most harrowing experiences have mostly been within Africa.
Oh,
for real,
You're just being honest.
Yeah, look, I'll shout out to Liberia. We went to Liberia. Beautiful place, beautiful coast. Yes, poor country. They had the Civil War and all that. So they're just a country in recovery. But I tell you what, the international airport, at that time, I don't know what it's like now. I went there last, almost 10 years ago. At that time, the airport was not fancy. It was probably around the son of a domestic airport in Nigeria, one of the regional domestic airports in Nigeria. But I tell you what, it was clean, and the staff were friendly, and nobody asked me for a dime. But if you have ever flown through a Nigerian airport, from the time that you get out of your car, people are stretching out their hands for money. The policeman in the car park.
It's just the experience.
Your trolley, the customs guys, immigration guys, NDLA guys. Everybody's asking you for money, right? But in Monrovia, nobody asked for a dime. Good afternoon, sir. How are you, sir? Where are you going to? Oh, I'm catching a flight to Lagos. Okay. Easy. no problems, nothing. But in Nigeria, you're having to, your people are asking you for money. They're holding your passport, asking you for money, and you're wondering. So if I say I don't have money, is this guy going to hold on to my passport? Is he going to claim I have drugs in my bag? This desire to extort you is so strong that they tell you, oh, you're not allowed to carry Indomie noodles out of the country. But if you give me some money, you can carry Indomie. But when you go and check like the rules, the things that they tell you at the airport that you're not supposed to do, there's no restriction against them. So I find that it's terrible. We flew to for our honeymoon. We went to Mombasa, we went to Kenya. We flew Ethiopian Airlines, and from the time we got to the airport, we ran into like the bottlenecks. We ran into the African problem, where we're having a quarrel with somebody about trying to upgrade a ticket, and he's like, "Why didn't you book this when you were buying? I should be able to get to the airport and upgrade a ticket. Why are you making this hard? Is my money my
you
choice?
Have the money and there is capacity.
Why is it? Why you? And they're doing their best to discourage you.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're asking you have to pay in cash. Okay, then we arrive in Addis because we're flying through via Addis Ababa. We have a layover in Addis, and then there's supposed to be a flight. We're meant to be like on a 9:30 flight, and then 9:30 flight to Mombasa. Then there's an 11:30 flight or a 12:30 flight or something that's meant to go from Addis to Kilimanjaro and then Kilimanjaro to Mombasa. Why did they cancel our flight and book us on the later flight without an explanation? We're just sitting there, we read flight cancelled, and nobody tells us why our flight is cancelled. We just approach the boarding gate and say, we're meant to have a flight now. And they say, oh, sorry, your flight is cancelled. You're going to be on the next flight. No explanation, no compensation, nothing. So we're in the lounge having to, anyway. And then we we get on the flight, land at Kili. Now, what we thought was going to be a 30-minute layover, just drop off passengers, pick up a few passengers in Kilimanjaro. Why does it turn into a 4-hour layover in Kilimanjaro on the plane? So we don't debark, we're just on the tarmac in the plane for 4 hours. What is going on? What's wrong with you people? Then they said, that the airport in Mombasa is a regional airport. It has a closing time. They're not open 24 hours. So we have to wait till 5. We have to wait till 6 when the airport opens before we go. Okay. But you knew this when you booked us on this flight, right? And you changed our itinerary. This wasn't our original itinerary. Why didn't somebody tell us this? Shouldn't somebody be explaining this and apologizing and compensating us for this thing? Only for us to land in Mombasa. And we're told, we've been waiting for you guys. We've been waiting for, where were you guys? We were waiting for you guys. And we said, they said your airport closes. The woman said, no. As you can see, there's a BMI flight to Manchester, leaving in 30 minutes time. There's another flight just arriving. We're an international airport. We're not the busiest airport in the world, but we don't close down. We're open 24 hours a day. So why did Ethiopian Airlines lie to us about that Addis Ababa airport?
So why?
And that was a crappy experience. So a trip should have taken us maybe 10 hours. Lagos to Addis, layover, Addis to Mombasa, done. We're traveling for almost 24 hours.
That's a horrible experience.
Within Africa. Come on. Like, why? And that, for me on the line, so we've done the road trip. That wasn't great. We've done I remember being frightened. On my way back from Ghana, we got to Togo. To spend the night. We're actually going to spend 2 or 3 days in Togo. But because my family had flown, that wasn't an option anymore. So we arrived in Togo at night. And there was just so many armed soldiers and police like around. I always think Lagos is crazy in terms of armed policemen and armed soldiers, but I kid you not, it was just scary. I just told the driver, we got to the hotel and I said, let's just go. I don't feel comfortable here. We just drove through. So we drove through Togo.
That's Lome,
yeah, we drove to Lome. I went to sleep in Kotono. Okay. I just couldn't. It was just, I didn't feel very safe. But beyond that, no bad experiences per se. Shout out to Kenya. Look, Kenya is a beautiful place. I don't know why I was daft enough to go to Kenya on my honeymoon. There are all these beautiful women with audacious bodies.
I heard you. Oh, wow.
My wife is looking at me like,
what are you talking about?
But see, I like the amazing person I'm married to. She's like, you're allowed to look, but don't bend your body. You can bend your neck. But if you bend your body, so you can bend your neck like that. If you like, give yourself a neck spray. But if you bend your body, you're going to
That's
sleep
what
with the
the
security
issues. That's
guard.
where the issue
You're
starts.
going to sleep. You're going to sleep in the hallway. You sleep in the hallway.
So you're just being honest, man. I mean, people
Like,
said that about Cape Town and Joburg as well. My friends who've been there.
what?
In fact, there's this
What?
lady that I know who said she is never going to go to South Africa with a guy. She's either going to go on a work trip or with her girls because she's going to fight with that man. And I said, why? She said, even her own neck almost broke at the beach.
Yes.
Like she'll
Yes.
see one babe and she'll be like, that baby's fine. And then 30 seconds later, it's like, no.
Another one.
That's average. Like, where did this one come from? Like, and this is a woman. She's, she's straight.
Yeah.
Like, man. So she can imagine now going with a guy that if she can't keep her head in one place, a guy has no chance. You'd rather not just go with him and cause trouble. So there are 195 countries and territories in the world. Just pick another one that's not going to cause us wahala. I just chuckled, but it was funny. It was so funny. Pick another country.
Hey, go somewhere else. No, this one's going to cost fights.
So what did you guys do in Mombasa out of interest? Did you go to the reserves? Did you go to the did you do safari, or you just went into?
So we didn't do a safari.
Okay.
We didn't do a safari. We did a bunch. So I have a bucket list that involves like a bunch of really random things. I'd like to scuba dive. I'd like to scuba dive all the oceans and as many seas as possible.
So you're a good swimmer.
So I crossed. Well, I can swim. I can swim. I'm not a good swimmer, but I can swim.
You can swim.
But I crossed the Indian Ocean off my list. So I scuba dived the Indian Ocean. Like I took that off my list.
Okay.
I took a sailing lesson. So I love sailing. So I took sailing lessons. It was mostly about the culture. We went out. We went around in Mombasa, saw the market, saw like a few touristy places, saw the beaches. I mean, we were on honeymoon, so it wasn't like we didn't do the safari. We just couldn't be bothered in the end. It was mostly, I mean, you know how a Nigeria wedding can be a week of stress and activity.
Yeah. So you just wanted to relax.
I mean, wanted to rest. But the key thing was we had a good time. We went around, we saw a few sites, saw a few interesting places. No safari. So I mean, we went to the beach, saw a few other resorts, and then did a lot of stuff. I mean, I recommend, look, I love Mombasa. I recommend it. I love Kenya. I love travel. So that was crossing that off my list was great. I've also scuba dived the Mediterranean, I crossed that off my list as well. I haven't scuba dived in Lagos. For some reason, I'm always worried about things that involve Lagos. I don't know why it is. And it's not like I've not swum in that. I've jumped into that lagoon a couple of times. I've been thrown in. I've jumped in. So it's not like I've not been in that water. I've been in that water, But I haven't scuba Lagos. And I know there's a scuba dive club in Lagos that I've been meaning to check out. So I probably will check it out at some point. But the thing about Lagos, you feel like it's there. It's always there. It's always there. So
do you know, and you raise a great point, because that's the same reason why the answer to your question was I struggled to give you a clear answer when you said, why haven't I seen a lot of Africa? Because you take it for granted. But the funny thing is, Europeans see Europe. Most of them do Europe first before they now start, especially Spain, like British people.
Cheaper.
It's like
cheaper.
Spain, and it's all. But you're
it's
right,
cheaper.
it's also cheaper.
It's cheaper.
And
the
closer.
Yeah,
1 hour,
to buy
2 hours.
To buy a ticket to Accra, all right, to buy a flight ticket to Ghana. When you compare what it is to buying it, how far is Ghana from Lagos? To buying an airline ticket from London to Paris or Amsterdam, or Madrid, or Valencia or Amsterdam, or wherever it is. When you start to look at it, you're like, this is plenty, especially relative to like the income, of the citizens of those countries. And then Africa is not funny. I've had a few unpleasant experiences in Africa. In Egypt, in Cairo, I pretty much had to buy a ticket, a Lufthansa ticket, to get out of Cairo. I flew to Frankfurt to get away from Cairo. So I flew to Frankfurt to London to Lagos to get away from them. I'd gone to, this is on my way back from Beirut. So flying back from Lebanon with my friends, we had a layover. They put us in the hotel. And I remember saying to them, I'm not feeling well. I hope you guys will make sure I don't miss my flight. And they said, yeah, sure. I set an alarm, but I had an asthma attack that night. So I wasn't at my best. For some reason, my charger wasn't working, so I couldn't charge my battery died. Yes, so alarm didn't go off. My friends were looking for me in the morning. They had changed my room. So in the middle of the night, they had changed my room from the room I was in to the room where my friends were. They moved me to a different room. So my friends were looking. So changed my room from the rooms where my friends knew, from the room beside my friends to a different room. And so when in the morning when they went to knock on that door, no one opened the door. So they assumed I had gone out to the coach. So they got to the coach. They were told, oh, one coach left already, and your friend is probably on the coach. And my friends were like, Olawunmi wouldn't leave us now. But they were forced. They got on the coach, got to the airport, and started looking for me. But my battery was dead. Eventually, I woke up, ran to the lobby of the hotel, got into, I was driven to the airport. I got there, and the flight had been closed. The flight was about to take off. So clearly, I'd missed that flight. Okay, what's going to happen? The same guys that had promised to put me that had promised me the night before that, if we miss your flight, we'll put you in a hotel. Like it's our duty to make sure you don't miss your flight. Suddenly said, oh, you have to be at the airport, and the next flight is in 4 days' time. I'm sorry, you're going to leave me at the airport for 4 days. That doesn't work like that now. And you can see I had an asthma attack. I'm not feeling well. And this guy started lying. All right, and I couldn't get over it. It was the first day of Ramadan. Okay, these guys are fasting and they're lying. You see why I have my issues with organized religion. So these guys, you're lying. It's the first day of Ramadan. You're lying. And you're being evil. Okay. So out of desperation, eventually I find someone. This is when the angels appear. It's Ramadan. So people are going to Umrah. People are going for the lesser Hajj. I see this clearly Nigerian couple, northern, most like a Hausa kind of thing. Speak to them. They lend me their charger. I go plug the charger and look back and I can't find them anymore. They've disappeared. But I have a charger now. I can charge my phone. Able to speak to my office in Lagos. Eventually, I buy the nearest ticket. Buy a ticket via KLM by Lufthansa to Frankfurt to London, so I can come back home. And these guys tell me, oh, they say, oh, you don't have a visa to go to the UK. I do. They say, oh, your visa is fake. Your passport is fake. I don't understand
visa
how
my passport is fake again.
My passport is fake. My visa is fake. What does this mean? So they eventually call now it's a different terminal. Egypt Air is in one terminal. Lufthansa is a different terminal. They call the airport manager. He has to come and get me. And then he's like, this. So I show my UK driver's license.
Sounds like it's.
And the man is like, this visa, as far as I'm concerned, this passport is fine. This visa is fine. All these guys' ID check out. His UK license checks out. His visa checks out. His passport checks out. Everything checks out. You can't hold this guy. And if you hold this guy and this guy misses his flight, I have to put him in a hotel. So you guys have to carry this guy and start. Then they said, oh, the dollars in my wallet was fake. Eventually the guy has to fight them and say, look, the Egypt Air manager, I still remember the guy's name till tomorrow, hands us over to the airport police. Excuse me. And they're making up charges. Eventually, the Lufthansa guy starts to make a fuss. And then they release me. I'm the last person to get on that flight. So they're doing their best to make sure I miss that flight. And I think if the Lufthansa guy wasn't determined to get me on that plane, they probably would have kept me. And it was needless. I've had an asthma attack. I've missed my flight. There was no compassion.
No empathy, nothing.
No empathy, nothing. And that ruined that trip for me. So I've never had any experience that bad anywhere else in the world. I've driven in the US. I've driven, interstate. I've driven in the US in the middle of the night where I'm afraid there's a cop car behind me. He's following me. And I'm afraid that if this guy stops me, I'm a guy. I'm afraid of that. But it's not, you're in the US, you expect, and you're in Texas, you expect certain things. You're in Africa, for God's sake. But then you realize that the Arab guy in Egypt doesn't consider himself the same as you are. He doesn't consider himself as you.
This is
a black guy. He's not, as far as he's concerned, he's not black. You're black, he's not black.
They see themselves more as Arabs, right?
So there's that. He's looking down on you. And that sort of sours Africa. But then I've had good experiences. Look, beyond the travel, Ghana was amazing. Togo was beautiful.
Accra was good for me as well. And Mauritius.
Liberia was amazing. I've been to Tunisia. Carthage was, I loved. walking in the footsteps of Hannibal. You know, when you remember that, you know, in our history, you don't realize that Africans terrorized Rome. Hannibal Barca and his brothers terrorized Rome, the Punic Wars, right? But you don't hear about it. So going to see the Carthaginian ruins, and you know, see the ruins of Carthage, seeing like the civilization, the technology, and you realize that when you're told Africa is backward, it's not true, and we're not doing enough to tell our own history. So being in Africa itself but it was just traveling within those borders, navigating the borders itself wasn't the best. We almost did Kilimanjaro a few years ago. My friends chickened out at the last minute. They didn't want to climb a mountain. They chickened out at the last minute. But yeah.
Don't also forget the Kingdom of Kush as well in modern Sudan.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would definitely love to look. For me, my bucket list involves seeing every single country. Okay, I would love to see. I think I've done almost 2 dozen, maybe 22, 23 countries now. I would love to see all 100. Is it 170, 200? I can't remember how many countries there are now. I'd love to see every single one. You know, I've done 4 continents.
Yeah,
I would love to see every single one. Yeah. It's not. You know, it's my bucket. I mean, my retirement bucket list definitely involves travel. I would travel a lot for a retirement. I thank goodness for my family and who I'm married to. My wife loves to travel as well, so my kids love to travel. They have a list. Yeah, my kids have a list that they're crossing off, and you know, so yeah, we're nomadic in nature. It would be nice to spend retirement. It would be. I imagine my bucket list is plenty small. I'm not sure this episode is big enough for my bucket list, but yeah, travel is definitely one of them. Sailing is one that I'd love to sail every single ocean. I've done cruises, and yeah, I think that would be another day. We'll do a travel episode and just talk about our travel experiences. But I love travel. I would love to retire early so I can travel and swing my golf clubs. You know, travel and play.
Amen to that.
Yeah, who's been
Which
retired
country would you
5, 6
recommend
years.
out of all the places you've gone to? You've been to like 2 dozen countries. Which country would you say in a heartbeat, if you had to pick one, just one out of all the places you've been to, which one would you say in a heartbeat, free ticket?
You're not nice. You're not nice. You're not nice.
You ask me questions.
I can't.
I'm asking you questions.
I can't. You know what? I can't. There's so many reasons. Singapore blew my mind.
Wow.
Like, I knew they were technologically advanced, but Singapore just blew me away. Tiny country, standard of living is amazing. It's a police state, though, but truly amazing. China knocked me off my feet. Talk about technology and advancement. China is living 100 years ahead of the rest of the world, okay? Or at least 50 years ahead of the rest of the world. But it's a police state. Now, I've traveled within China. I've done the whole, taken a 4-hour flight within China to go to another place. So I've seen some of the less touristy bits of China, you know, the industrial zones. I've been to places where like they're looking at you. You can't, all the black people are looking at, all the Chinese are looking at you like, how they, because they've never seen a black person before outside of TV. But you're there going to a factory tour, you know, you're doing all that. So China, look, I don't know. Look, even the Emirates are amazing. Within the Emirates, I've been to Ras Al Khaimah, I've been to Ajman, I've been to Sharjah, Abu Dhabi, and Dubai, right? So about 5. Yeah, so Sharjah, Ras Al Khaimah, Ajman, Abu Dhabi, and Dubai. 5. Okay. And you can buy alcohol in Ras. They have warehouses where you can go and buy alcohol. Like, same country. Same country. So one country to like, even within the same country, you have so many regional differences. We bought a bootload of alcohol to take to, I'm not sure I can say this to my air. No. We went to Ras Al Khaimah, we bought alcohol, and we consumed it in our Ras. We consumed it there and went back to Dubai after we had consumed our alcohol in Ras. Yes. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. So
stick to your story.
What place, where have I been to that I found that, look, everywhere. I couldn't tell you this is the one country. I've done France, Spain, Italy, Cyprus, Turkey, obviously the UK,
Mm.
Ireland, Switzerland. Oh, I love Switzerland. I love Switzerland. Uh, look, I couldn't tell you. Now, this is one. Now, if you ask me, this is where I would live. Where would I live? My wife loves Singapore. She'd live in Singapore, Dubai in a heartbeat. Surprise,
Singapore.
surprise. Singapore, Dubai, places where my madam would love to live. And wherever my wife wants to live, that's home for me.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, so maybe Singapore. My only problem with it is I think I would bristle in the end. It's too controlled. At some point, I would rebel. Part of me would be like, this is too much control.
Allow me. The thing is very simple. This world,
nowhere's
can't
perfect.
get everything.
No, you can't.
You can't get everything. I've tried to slice and dice and you can't get the places that they say are tax-free places. You need $1 million a year to live there. Monaco is tax-free, but you understand why it's tax-free. So, but I get what you mean.
If you're rich, you could probably live anywhere in the world.
State stuff is so it depends on what's important to you. If all the benefits that come with Singapore is so overwhelming that the police state part becomes a very small part, you might just overlook it.
I look, if you're not a criminal, I say the police state thing just because, but really and truly, if I have nothing to hide,
when you say police state, are you talking about surveillance or are you talking about the way
everything?
they allow everything? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they say Singapore is a fine country. You get fined for everything. You can't chew gum. You can't throw your gum in the streets. You can't do, So that order that makes it so pleasant can also make it stifling. But look, if you're not a criminal, I would live in Singapore. I think if I had to pick a place, it probably would be Dubai or Singapore.
Dubai.
The life is let.
I've been to one.
Dubai,
I've been to the other.
I've been to both. Abu Dhabi was amazing, beautiful place, very laid back. So I don't know. Do you know what? Ask me this when I've been to 170 countries. Ask me where I want to live.
We have to do that episode.
Ask me after I've done 179 countries. Ask me where I want to live.
Then it'll be a better question. Got it.
But I also say that I could live in Kenya. Okay. I love Kenya enough to live in it.
Nice.
People say life is more laid back than Nigeria. I don't mind. At this stage in my life, I'm not running around clubbing now. So I'm not looking for excitement and all that. I'm not looking for. I can look for the excitement when I want to have fun. I can go out there and have fun, right? So I could probably live in Ghana. I could probably live in. I think I'd live as long as there's security, and I have access to the internet and access to travel. I think Tyre, I know the YouTuber. Shout out Tyre, I know. Shout out. He's moved to Portugal recently, and so Portugal is probably is one place where I think I would love to live. Portugal, so, and I understand his reasons for moving out there. The problem of Africa, of Nigeria, living in Nigeria or living in Kenya will be the same thing. All the infrastructural problems. Take that away. Portugal for me, Portugal or Singapore, Dubai. I think. Yeah. One of Africa is always going to be infrastructure. Am I safe? Can I travel? Do I have reliable internet? See this episode. Look, for the past month, my internet has been acting up. This episode we're recording, I have no idea how it's going to play out. And those infrastructural challenges.
Yes.
Infrastructure. It's a problem.
Hopefully it will, and hopefully the ISP issues will resolve themselves. We're hoping so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's another ISP coming to my area now, and just begging them to move. He said in the next one.
I beg, we need it for our content to.
Please. And if you're watching us, please support our ministry. Please support our ministry. Give us a like. Give this video a like. Subscribe to us. If you have topics you want us to discuss, by all means, drop us an email at we're two grown men at gmail.com.
Yep.
Send us a message on Twitter. We're two grown men on Twitter X. We're two grown men on TikTok. Two grown men on Instagram. Send us a message. You want to be on the show? Send us a message. I mean, we're doing a series on our passions and our bucket lists. By all means, come and join us. Talk about whatever it is that interests you.
Yep.
You know, come and talk to us.
Send
Come
us
and
a
be
message.
a part of the show. It's our show. It's your show. Really, well, just be a part of this thing and support our ministry, please. Help us get to our next milestone is 500 subscribers. Please help us get to 500 subscribers. And I believe we can do so in the month of July.
We can do with your support.
We can do this with your support in the month of July.
We started with 0. We had an idea. Olawunmi had an idea. He pitched it to me. Together, we had an idea. We started at 0.
It wasn't my idea, dude. It was our idea. It was our idea. It wasn't my idea.
Okay, our idea.
It was our idea.
But we started with 0. We started with 0. YouTube doesn't give you 10 free subscribers. There's something like that.
Zilch.
And we're on 300. We thank you. But our next milestone, like Olawunmi said, is to get to 500. And we know with your support and your help, we can get there and even exceed it. So don't only subscribe when you watch this episode, share. Because sharing is caring. And I know you care about it. So please share to as many people and at as many platforms as possible. Your Facebook, your Twitter X, your Instagram, your Snapchat, your WhatsApp status, wherever you think will give us the most maximum impact. It's free to subscribe. It's also free to share. We appreciate you and are looking forward to your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for watching us. Yeah. I mean, the next one will probably be, we'll do my bucket list next one. But that will probably take like 3 hours because this is my bucket list.
Is it ever expanding, or do you get to a point where you get to a plateau and you're like, okay, that's it?
No. I think for as long as I breathe, given my nature, my list will always expand. It will always expand. So I had my first trip to Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
It was just Dubai, right? And then that trip I knocked off because my friends, we knocked off in one trip, like Dubai, Sharjah, Ras, and Ajman. One trip. The following trip, we knocked Abu Dhabi off that list. Now I want to see all. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, see all the Emirates. The US, for example, I think I've been to like 8 to 10 states. Okay. Now I want to do all 50 states. It doesn't stop for me. I've been in China, I've been to Guangzhou, never Beijing, never Shanghai. They're on my list now. Hong Kong is on my list. So one trip to China will not cut it. I've been to France, but not Paris. Okay. I've been to Rome, but not Milan. Do you understand? So not Turin, not Milan. In Spain, I've been to Barcelona, I've been to Valencia, never Madrid. So the bucket list continues. I had never scuba dived. I scuba dived the Med. Then I was like, okay, now I want to scuba dive all the oceans. I scuba dived in the Indian Ocean. Suddenly the Atlantic is right here, right? It's there. So I feel like the more I do, the more I'm going to want to do. Okay. Just like you said, you want to do all 4 slams in tennis. I'd love to do all 4 slams. I'm a tennis fan. I tried to get into Wimbledon some years ago. I mean, didn't you tell me you had to queue like 11 hours to get into Wimbledon the first time you went?
Yes, queuing. Yes, absolutely correct.
I was like, I'm sorry, after 2 hours of the boys, me and we're going. Let's go and drink somewhere. Let's go and watch this thing on
I was
TV
younger then. It was fun. Yeah.
So you got there at what time? What time did you get there?
Must have been around. I think 8 in the morning.
And you didn't get in until 8 p.m.
No, we didn't get in until. No, it was earlier than that. I think it was around 6.
You got there at 6.
Yeah, 6 in the morning. Yeah.
And you walked in around 5.
Around 5 p.m. Yeah, we still got watch a few matches. They have matches up until 9. Then
Yeah.
the
So, but did
second
you have
time I
one ticket?
went,
So
the second
hold
time I
on. Did
went
you then?
wasn't that long. It
Uh-huh.
was I went twice. One was 10
Mm.
hours plus queuing. The other one was I think about 5 to 6 hours of queuing. But people literally queue for like 24 hours. They have tents. You should read it up. It's crazy. It's the worst
I,
of the worst slams when it
look,
comes to
we've got
queuing.
there
Wimbledon is terrible.
2 2 hours. We saw some guys that they said they've been there for like 3 hours. We did 2 hours and we're like, let's go and drink somewhere else. We want to go and
It's
drink.
terrible.
Go back on train, go and drink.
I'm not going. I'm
And
not
let's
doing
go back.
Wimbledon again. If I can't walk in straight,
Never,
never again.
never,
But the
never.
experience was good when we got in. It was fantastic.
When you got in,
Yeah, but yeah,
never.
one
There's
more
some
in
things that no, no,
that,
no.
that time I went.
Look, I love golf. I'd love to watch all the golf slams. I'd love to watch a Super Bowl live. So I do Super Bowl. I mean, I watch Super Bowl every year for I can't remember how many decades now. But I'd love to watch Super Bowl live. I'd love to see an NBA All Star game. I'd love to see NBA Finals, at least one of the games live. I've seen an NBA game, never seen an NFL game. But am I making sense that there's so many things? That bucket list is long,
No, it's
and
your bucket list.
it
Yeah.
gets longer
Oh,
every day. I'd like to
one.
do an Atlantic cross. I'd like to cross all the oceans. So I'd like to do an Atlantic crossing, for example. I mean, the list for me it's endless. For as long as I'm alive, it's endless. I just pray that we have the good health to continue to enjoy to do these things and the means. So support our ministry. We can have money, please, and the means to do it.
Amen.
My list is not crazy things like I don't have a list like fly on a private jet. That's not the things
Funny
that
enough,
that's
none of
not
us said any of those things.
no, it's things like it's experiences. It's not even so much tangible things as experiences. Can you travel here? Can you see that thing? Can you see the northern lights? I'd love to see Scandinavia. I'd love to see the fjords. I'd love to go to Russia. Just to just see things. It's not so that list will probably never be exhausted. I think if I had 20 years to travel nonstop, I still would find something new every day.
Hmm.
It cannot be exhausted. We move. But anyway, everyone, thank you very much for watching us. I think we've come to the end of this episode. Next one, we'll do my bucket list. You guys have 3 hours.
Yes, we're gonna do a deep dive into bucket list.
Yeah, we'll talk. I think we need to talk retirement as well. We'll talk retirement as well, but it's all
Yes.
good. Thank you, everyone, for watching us. It's been a pleasure having you with us. Thank you, and God bless you.
And
Esho,
we'll see you in the next one.
Yemi, nice one.
Absolutely a pleasure as always.
Yeah.